join me as I fly around the Mackinac Bridge. On this particular day, I was just kind of scouting out, looking and seeing what kind of shots I could get. I had seen a family that we follow, Finding Our Sunday. Corey had gotten some cool drone shots of the Mackinac Bridge, and I wanted to see if in my new hobby I could get some cool shots of this amazing bridge. So join us as we take a journey across the Mackinac Bridge. You want to stick around to the end of the video to see what it was that made me think I was going to lose this drone forever. Stick around and see if I did indeed lose the drone. So some interesting facts about the Mackinac Bridge. It's roughly 5 miles in length. That's a long bridge. The suspension part of the bridge is 8,614 feet long. So the total length of the wire in the main cables is 42,000 miles. So all the wire that it took, 42,000 miles of wire. Almost 12,000 tons of cable. So you can tell that's just a massive undertaking that went into building this massive structure. The total number of steel rivets, 4,851,700. And then on top of that, there's also 1,016,600 steel bolts. So just a massive amount of material that went into constructing this amazing bridge. They employed 3,500 people to construct the bridge, which is pretty impressive. 350 engineers. As you look at this bridge, it's amazing to think what all went into building the bridge. They began construction on May 7th of 1954, and it wasn't until November 1st of 1957 that they opened it to traffic. So how many people have crossed this bridge? We don't really know. I'm sure someone has the stats. But they had their 100 millionth crossing in 1998. So you can imagine, 40 years, 100 million people crossing the bridge. And they've had another 20 some years to add to that. So they're probably creeping up on the 200 million mark if I had to guess, but they don't have those statistics available to me. As I was out these days, just checking out the bridge, looking at it, I saw all these cars going across, all these semis, but most importantly I saw some RVs going across this bridge. And that got me thinking, what if we could drone while we go across the bridge? The drone has a setting where it'll follow you. I didn't really trust that, and you're supposed to have a spotter, so I decided, okay, what if Casey drove the truck? Well, I decided to wait a little while to pop that question on her. When I did ask her, she decided that that would be okay. She had never driven the truck with the RV, and this was going to be her first time driving across the Mackinac Bridge.
Okay, so Daddy just set up home for the drone, and we are fixing to go over the bridge. This is Mama's first time.
You need to move the seat forward.
First time driving with the RV behind us.
It's not a release on brakes.
And only second time driving the truck in general.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Right.
sort of, yeah.
No,
Yeah, like
lift
second or
further
third.
down.
And I do not see the drone. It's up there,
I think, maybe.
but yes, it's very high.
Maybe it's like over top of us. I don't really know.
You need your seat up.
I already moved all that up. Daddy, where's the
So we're fixing to go over the Mackinac Bridge, and Daddy is flying the drone to follow us over the bridge.
So right here you begin to see us come into view in the bottom left part of your screen, and we are approaching the toll plaza here, where you pay your toll before being able to cross the bridge. One thing about traveling with an RV, that every time you go through a toll booth, it's much more expensive than when you just go through with a regular vehicle. So you're adding 2 more axles and they charge you that much more for the experience. So we pulled up to the toll plaza and you can see the park. That's the park there in the foreground. That's the park where I took off the day before, just kind of exploring, and now we've come through the toll booth and we are making our way. That is us, the RV, headed across the bridge, and tracking along pretty good. I can't promise that it keeps going so well, but it was going so far so good, and we were enjoying. Casey was doing a great job driving across, and we were having a good commentary, me and the girls watching out the window as we tried our best to keep track of the drone, and keeping it parallel to that road was a little bigger challenge than I had initially thought it would be. It continued to go kind of further away, and then I would get it closer back and forth. But as I mentioned earlier, this is a new hobby for me, and constantly learning new things. Out there in the distance you can see Mackinac Island, where on one of our previous videos we toured that island, had a great time doing that. And so as we're going along here, you can see just the beautiful water, sun reflecting off the water, and our beautiful RV being towed along by that tiny little truck. It's not so tiny, but it sure looks like it. As we pass this semi, you can see we're not much smaller than the semi.
Yeah, I see it now. It's in the window.
Where?
In the clouds still. There it is, going down, plummeting to the ocean.
So yes, Claire's commentary, I may have been plummeting towards that large lake, but I did not fall into the lake. That was not the problem that we ran into. We were coming down a little bit out of the clouds. We did not risk dropping it in the water at that point. We continued across the mighty the Mackinac Bridge. So there's one thing that I did not take into account as I took my drone on this epic voyage. So in the settings, there is a setting where you set up how far it can go from home. Well, to me, home is where you pull it. My home was right behind me. But for the drone, home is where it takes off from. So as we took off from the park on the other side of the water there, that was home. Well, I had it set up for just over 20,000 feet it could go from home. So almost 4 miles that it could travel away from its home location. mentioned earlier, this bridge is 5 miles long. So we reached one point in our journey where we're traveling along, getting some neat shots, and then all of a sudden, the drone stops. I could turn this way, I could turn that way, I could go no further. Panic set in. I quickly told Casey she needed to stop the truck. She quickly reminded me that she was on a bridge and she could not stop the truck. Panic. I wasn't sure what to do. I'm asking Chloe to Google stuff. I didn't even know what to ask her to Google, but I asked her anyway. And we got to a certain point and I remembered there was a setting. I got into the settings, went to that max distance from home and put it to unlimited. Whew, I regained control of the drone. It was one of the most stressful experiences that we had had thus far, and it had nothing to do with towing a huge RV or trying to pack into a spot. It was all because I wanted to take my new toy across and video as we drove across the Mackinac Bridge. So, lesson learned. Will I probably have to learn that lesson again sometime? I would guess I probably will. Because it is one of those stories that we'll tell for years to come, and we're excited to have the footage as we made our way across. Eventually, we made our way. Once I regained control, I caught the drone back up to the RV, and Casey got off the main road there, pulled off on an exit, pulled into a parking lot. You can tell from watching me try to land this drone that I was extremely nervous. The nerves had gotten to me on that trip across, and I was just super excited to have the drone back in my possession where we could get back on the road and try and relax just a little bit. Thanks for joining us on this flight. Hope you enjoyed some of the shots and enjoyed hearing the story of our epic journey across the mighty Mac.